I'm done. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
I can't help but feel things are better with stand up and fight. Got to stand up. Don't say you down. You gotta stand up and fight. Oh, you got to stand
Mic check, mic check. Put a 1 in the chat. Clear to you. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I was listening to Mr. Z earlier today. Shout out to Mr. Z. We don't interact all that often, but I'm always shown courtesy whenever I pop up in that chat. Appreciate the friendly welcome. But I was listening to Mr. Z earlier today. Mr. Z is pretty much Black manosphere through and through. Like all his content of that. I try to branch out and talk about all kind of things. And then we talk about how awful women are. I'm diverse like. But I was saying to Mr. Z earlier in his chat, because I think he mentioned something about the male loneliness epidemic or incels or whatever. And I said, you know what? You ought to do a show about the female loneliness epidemic. And so I typed that in the chat this morning. And I come home and I want to do a show, and I said, you know what? Be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah, I know, isn't that cheesy? So that's what we're going to do. Because it's interesting how the concept of incels and guys who can't get none and all that stuff, that is always discussed. It's always thrown around. We talk about that endlessly. But if the majority of men are no longer even approaching women, as I keep hearing from all these different videos, and we're going to pull up some of this stuff. But if all these men are not approaching women, then that means that there are, in fact, a lot of lonely women. Lots and lots and lots of lonely women. And as I get into this, hold up. Refresh my memory, Barbecue Wings. What was your show request? What was the show request? I forget. I have to double check that. But anyway, lonely women. Oh, violence between the left and the right. Copy. Try to work that back in. The imbalance in the dating arena, just on the numbers, it does leave room for a lot of women to not be chosen or be valued as much as they like. And there's actually two dynamics to the female loneliness epidemic. One thing about incels, even with the whole online culture, incels have like created a community for themselves, right? Men tribe up. There's an element to the female loneliness epidemic that I don't really think applies. It doesn't correlate the same to the male epidemic, which is there is a female loneliness epidemic that has nothing to do with romance. In the same way that a lot of men are just turning their back on relationships with women romantically, apparently a lot of women are sick of women too. And there are a lot of women who just don't really have a female friend. Everybody knows how much girls hate each other, right? Well, anyway, I hope you guys are strapped in. Just doing a couple of last minute speaks here, making sure we got what we need to get. Hit that like button as you guys make your way into the room. Thank you all so much for joining the show. Shout out to the Midwest Request, topping the bottle with the $2 super chat. Taking a shot for the dusty holes. You know what that is? Let me take a quick sip. For the dust. Took a sip for the dust. Hit that like button, guys. Support the show.
We need our weed. I don't wear it, but we need it.
There's a male loneliness epidemic and not a female loneliness epidemic. Yeah, you're probably right. This genius of a comment was left under a video that says men would hate to live in a society without women to control. And this is going to be a hot take, but I personally believe that whole man loneliness epidemic is not really a real thing. I think this was a term that is being used because majority of men are single right now, and they just gave it a term saying the male loneliness epidemic. But to be honest, I don't see most men complaining about being lonely, because I stitched a video like literally 3 months ago of a bunch of women complaining that no men are showing up to speed dating events. So if men were really so lonely, like why wouldn't they be going to events which can get them a girlfriend?
Great question. Great question. You want a link to that track? Let me see. What was I just playing? I still have it queued up. Okay, yeah, here's the link. I got you, bro. I got you. It is what it is. Niggas be wanting links. Niggas want to know what's in the secret sauce, man. You know, I be stingy with these links sometimes. I ain't even gonna lie. I'll be stingy with the secret sauce, man. But here, I'm gonna throw the link in the chat for you. That's the link. Yo, you know what? I'm gonna give y'all some game, because you know every show I look for some new opening music to kind of keep it fresh. There are certain tracks I do kind of like, and every now and then I'll re-slip them back into the list. But I got a feeling that there is a wave of AI beat production happening right now. and guys are using AI to make beats and then setting up a YouTube channel to showcase those beats and then just collecting streaming revenue from people using their AI beats. Because the way these guys crank out 3 and 4 dope beats a day, I'm like, bro, you gotta be digital. You a digital nigga, bro. Ain't no way you got this much fire coming out this hard, this every day, like 3 or 4 beats every day. Nah, bro, you got to be digital. So I think a lot of these new beats coming out are AI creations. A lot of what I've been playing for the last couple of months on here, I'm pretty sure the computer did it. But let the nigga get his streaming money though. Let him get his streaming views.
And then I pointed this out to the girl who left the comment. She said, hey, so I Googled this, and it turns out men are scared because of awkward interaction, for small talk, pressure of dating, and thus, and she goes on a whole rant. And you know where she gets this information from? She got it from the AI overview when you look it up on Google, and not from a man's mouth who's literally telling you. That's not the reason. With your logic of...
Now, yeah, back to the storyline. I do think men are unhappy, which is a vague, broad term in and of itself, but I want to carve out a distinction between male unhappiness and female loneliness, because I think when you talk about things like the manosphere or even incels, we all kind of fit under that broad, loose category of men are definitely unhappy with the current state of affairs, right? But men aren't lonely in the sense that they're willing to endlessly prostrate themselves at the idea of female validation. And I think that's the difference between men being unhappy versus women being lonely. Men are built for solitude. Even though the human species, we are a very social species by nature, men are born for bouts of solitude that would destroy most women.
Men are so lonely. Like, they're so lonely. It's a men's loneliness epidemic. Why wouldn't they just go to a singles event where they could literally go find a group of women who are craving a relationship? I left this comment, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said in the comment. It's pretty common sense in my opinion, but the reason why you see this statistic of most men are single or choosing to be single right now, yes, there's probably a select group that literally can't find a girl because they just suck. It is because in most cases, keyword most cases, there's a financial incentive for a girl to be in a relationship. In most relationships, a man is going to spend more money than he is going to save, and a girl is going to save more money than she is going to spend. So a lot of men are checking out of dating, and then you guys are framing it as the male loneliness epidemic.
There you go. The financial incentives right now are perverted. Women are incentivized to be in a relationship because it benefits women greatly to have a man, or let alone a roster of men providing finance and attention. For a guy, though, you very easily wind up becoming a pay pig or a dinner date, and the cat's out of the bag now. And so this is what I mean about men being unhappy doesn't really correlate the same with women being lonely. The Midwest Request says, I want to be loved, but I'd rather be alone. Real shit. Now, bro, why this nigga just like me for real? Shout out to the Midwest Request, man. Nigga just like me for real. I love love, but I'm bad at it. I'm not gonna keep playing this hand. I'm not gonna keep playing a game I suck at.
Like they're literally sitting there crying in a corner because they can't go on dates. It's because there's an expense, there's a dollar amount attached to a lot of dates. And even if you have one of those terrible boyfriends who makes you go 50-50, you're still saving 50% of your money as a girl. So a lot of girls are choosing to be in relationships because it financially is better for them. Then you have this moron of a commenter that's like, hey, I Googled the reason why men don't want to go to singles events, and it actually says because of this. Again, with your logic, if men are so lonely, why would they rather go on dating apps and go to bars and go get rejected over there? They're so lonely, but they wouldn't go to a singles event where women are literally seeking relationships and these men are so lonely. So in my personal opinion, I don't think there's actually even a male loneliness epidemic. I think this is just a terminology that a lot of people started to use because the rate of men being single has gone up because things are getting more expensive. Wow, wouldn't you thought thought that would correlate, but that's just my opinion. But hey, what do you think?
Makes a lot of perfect sense, honestly. The environment impedes basic male goal pursuit, basic romantic pursuit with women. All right, that's just simple economic reality. And as we move further and further into the feminist governing system that we all live under, I talk about this idea that current government exists to support women living apart from men. Anything government does outside of like war stuff and foreign interests, but on a home front, domestic policy, anything government does, it can't really harm women. It'll harm men greatly, but it can't harm women. And that's kind of how we've created this environment where the men are kind of pulling back because all the weight's being put on the men's shoulders.
So tired of hearing about the male loneliness epidemic, so let's talk about the female loneliness epidemic, because we're experiencing one too. The one where men treat you like you're some fantasy object, and the moment they realize you're an actual human being with thoughts, feelings, and emotions, they're gone. Or when they want you for your body, but never have any intention of actually getting to know it or respecting it. Or when they want you for your emotional intelligence, even though they have no intention of ever reciprocating it. Or when they want you for what you can do for them, but they don't want you for who you are.
There's another element to the female loneliness epidemic. And I guess that there is a type of correlation, just a thin correlation that, a guy could understand, being used, not really being wanted for who and what you are, or being wanted for what you are as opposed to who you are. But it works out different with women. Women experience that as being in the middle of the carousel. You see, a part of the carousel ride isn't that she goes from horse to horse trying out all the ponies. It's that each horse throws her off. You see, you ever ridden a carousel, an actual carousel? It's kind of a thing for small children. But the whole point of the carousel is that it is a horse that it's a fake horse that will not throw you off, right? But in red pill terminology, we have this concept called the carousel, where women just sort of go round and round riding on different horses. But the reality of the carousel is that in the beginning, you may be willfully switching from horse to horse, right? But something happens in your carousel career where the horses start to throw you consistently. Women aren't really built for that. It's maddening.
That's loneliness. Crying yourself to sleep every night next to a partner who claims to love you even though his actions never follow his words, that's loneliness. Being too afraid to open yourself up to love and opening yourself up to men because we live in a world where SA, domestic violence, and femicide is so normalized, that's loneliness. The difference is that the male loneliness epidemic is self-inflicted and the female loneliness epidemic is self-preservation.
She thinks she knows things.
It has nothing to do with being scared.
Can we please bring back men coming up to us? Why are you so scared? Why are you so scared of coming up to us?
It has nothing to do with rejection.
Genuinely, I don't I get it, rejection, okay, I get it. However, if you go up to a girl in a nice way, I don't think you can fail.
Men are not afraid to walk up to you, and we have no problem actually initiating. Everything you said in the video is disingenuous. And
if the male loneliness epidemic were as pronounced as they kind of project in the online world, why don't you see a lot of videos of men asking, where are all the women? You don't really see men making videos about I just don't know where to go to meet women. But there are tons of videos where the women are asking, where do you go? Where are all the guys? How come guys don't approach me? How come guys don't talk to me? How come guys don't want to be in a relationship anymore? Women are making these kinds of videos. Men are just asking why women are so retarded. That is kind of the majority of red pill content. It's like, what's wrong with y'all? Why y'all be like this? Women's content is like, oh my God, nobody loves me.
Respectfully, you don't get it. At the end of the day, you might have experienced rejection, but you've never experienced the male experience. So no, you don't get it. And that's the reason why you're not getting approached, because you don't get it. Men are definitely exhausted. They're very tired. And I'm going to tell you why you're not being approached. And it's very simple. We're tired of the no text backs. We're tired of spending money on dates and then all of a sudden you disappear and we have no idea. We're tired of scheduling and trying to get a date, but you're constantly busy and always going somewhere. We're tired of all of the insults, the I don't need a man. Adulting that's just being confused for independence. The gaslighting, the lies, all of the over-sexualization of yourself, but then we're wrong for even joining in or calling it out. The constant going out every weekend and not expecting to be hit on or make a mistake ever. Mind you, not.
Carmen asks, women really not getting approached? Carmen, you don't really have my YouTube feed. Plus, like obviously I'm plugged into this kind of content because I want to know what's going on in that kind of content. But there are entire channels. Every day they post new videos, new women complaining about why men are not approaching. I'll show you some of these videos. That's their whole content strategy, is women are unhappy. Entire channels, huge channels, tens of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of views on videos. Dylan, there are like exponentially more femcels than we think. The femcel crisis is way bigger than the beta male revolution.
Every guy is experiencing this, but this is the thing that is the biggest deterrent to everything. Stop expecting us to just be okay with the mind games and the constant pain of not understanding. Why is it so difficult to get to know you? So stop trying to, honestly, you seem very genuine in your video. It's just you don't know what you're saying is disingenuous. But just insinuating that we have a fear of something that we're very used to, take rejection. Men have to be rejected for the most part. Like, guys aren't going to walk up to majority of the girls in their life and they're going to say yes. And rejection isn't always at the beginning. A lot of times rejection is later on in the end. It takes a lot to deal with just y'all as a person. The nagging, the constant beration, the problems, the meanness, all that stuff is culminating into, well, I'm just not going to walk up to her because I just don't want to talk to that anymore. I have experienced it far too often.
You know what? As a man kind of sliding into middle age and beyond, I really gotta say, man, somebody typed in the chat a minute ago. Let me see if I can track this comment down. Is love for poor people. I don't think it's as straightforward as love is only for poor people, but you'll never fall in love like you can when you're 19 or 20 years old. There's something about the youthful exuberance and the inexperience and the hormonal passion of that age in life that you really can't ever get back on that kind of bicycle again, right? And what I've come to realize, sliding into my gray hair years, is that romance, love and romance, that kind of thing is really for the youth. And it is supremely better. It is infinitely, exponentially better to fall in love and lock in and marry and stay in that marriage for 30, 40 years than to try to fall in love and marry in your 40s or whatever. Like after 35, it's kind of cooked. It becomes extremely difficult to engage in the level of pair bonding that you're open to when you just hit adulthood. Those years between 19 and 25, you can never love like you love in those years.
In where I am talking to a girl, and in the middle of me having a pleasant conversation, she'll just make a gay joke for some reason. And it's just like, it wasn't funny. I'm not trying to find a girlfriend for her to be my homie. I'm looking for someone soft, feminine, sweet to talk to ease my day. Not trying to come and play the dozens with you after a long day of work. So no, this idea that you
Now, look, he's still in his 20s. I wouldn't even peg him over 30, right? I wouldn't even pin him over 30 yet. He's in his 20s and he's already kind of fed up with just basic female goofiness, right? You realize how locked in that attitude becomes 35 and beyond. Do you realize how attuned to female bullshit you become at 35 and beyond? And you may be willing to engage for the reward that comes later, but you're so like that checklist of things that'll get you disqualified is quietly being filled. And I've been in these moments, I've been in conversations where, oh yeah, we're definitely not gonna have a thing. Like you just feel the wave in the middle of conversation. He's describing that moment, and I've been through moments like that. Like, oh, you know what? I remember I'm at this girl's house, and it's like the first time we're really, really alone like that, interacting or whatever. Outside of the phone, right? So I'm over there, and not no pressure, not like trying to smash in the moment, right? I'm just talking, hanging out, and we're sitting across the table from one another. I don't even remember what exactly I said, but I said something. Yeah, you know me. I be on YouTube saying things for a living, and people like Midwest Request with the $2 super chat supports the things that I say randomly, because sometimes I randomly say some wild shit, right? So a shout out to Midwest Request. He says, women with hella experience, you can't pair bond. I think that applies to men, not as strictly, but there comes a level of experience for men where you just become relatively jaded at female nature. That's why it's better to lock the man in his 20s before he gets really, smart about how you guys really are. But anyway, so I'm at this lady's house, this, grown woman, right? Because we're all adults now. It's not like you're a teenager and I can expect you to be retarded, right? I'm at this chick's house and sitting across the table from one another, like a round dining room table kind of thing. And, I forget what I said. We were talking in the middle of a conversation, there's some light drinking involved and, just laughing, joking. And in the middle of this conversation, I said something that the way she responded, she threw a lighter at me, a cigarette lighter. Shit whizzed right past my head. Threw a lighter at me. She could never know this because we was in the moment where it happened. I didn't flinch. I didn't respond. There was no aggression. I just took it like, oh, why are you tripping? Like, I played it real cool in the moment, right? But this funky bitch just threw a lighter flew right past my head because I said something that obviously like low-key offended her, but it was funny, but it was offensive at the same time because that's what I do, right? And she threw the lighter past my head, and I swear to God, as the shit whizzed past my head, she died to me. In that moment, she died to me. Now I still smashed all untold amount of times. I don't know how long I was smashing before I just ghosted one day. There was something that happened it was something in my life that happened that made me just like, you know what, I can't even deal with you right now. And I just ghosted. But yeah, in that moment, I knew you were dead to me and I would be ghosting. I just knew, because like in the time it took for the lighter to fly by my head, her spirit died in my mind. There was nothing I can do to save this moment. And it just gets like that as you get older. You just can't save the thing. But you can still smash though. I can smash infinitely, but I can't save this thing.
You are like, the idea that we're afraid of rejection or to walk up to you is not the problem. And until y'all start addressing these root causes, this is how it will remain.
But here's the thing about the female loneliness, right? My quote unquote ghosting her after, a couple of maybe a month or so of intense interaction, that contributes to the female loneliness epidemic, apparently, because you can get dick, but you can't get love. And love is really what they're after. Dick is infinite, but love is special and unique.
So watch these videos from women that come across my For You page. I'm like, a lot of you are going to have to settle like greatly. Now, even beyond the point of debating whether or not men should be providers, like let's just say I agree, like men should be providers, right? The life that you want provided for you.
Now, this guy's an interesting guy, right? You see he's created a certain look for himself. And I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, but I've come across his videos every now and then. And he's one of these guys who definitely creates he creates the aesthetic that females tend to pursue, right? And as you listen to his content, like that's kind of what he talks about. Like he's one of those guys like, listen, you're going to give me money. Yeah, we're going to go out. We're going to go on a date and you're going to pay for everything. Like he's one of those kinds of guys. Like off the rip, I know so many chicks are trying to give me sex that you just going to have to spend money for my time, right? That's the kind of place he comes from.
So watch these videos from women that come across my For You page. I'm like, a lot of you are going to have to settle like greatly. Now, even beyond the point of debating whether or not men should be providers, like let's just say I agree, like men should be providers, right? The life that you want provided for you, only so many men can do that. Really, I crunch the life out of these numbers, yo. I'm talking about living in a house, shopping trips, paying for all the food, nice, nice clothes, stuff like that. I factored in stuff like, you being attracted.
Yeah, he's wearing hoop earrings. 2 of them. He got a set. I bet you a girl bought those for him too.
Trips, paying for all the food, nice, nice clothes, stuff like that. I factored in stuff like, you being attracted to them. That's like 0.8%. You know what I didn't even factor in? Height. So it's like if you want a man over 6 foot, you're going to have to go for like 0.14% of 0.08%. Then remember, they're going to have to be attracted to you, which I'm not even going to do it. Let's just assume you're like the most beautiful woman in the world. Then factor in like, oh, they got to treat you right, be emotionally intelligent. It's probably like less than 0.01. These odds are not looking good. And I feel like anytime a man says this, like people are like, oh no, he's trying to like lower women's standards so we date him. Look, I'm in a relationship, okay? So I don't need any of that. What I'm saying is like now we talk about, ooh, there's a male loneliness epidemic that no men actually care about. I think maybe in like 10 to 20 years, I think there's going to be a women's loneliness epidemic, like on a very serious note. Based off what you're saying, like assuming that you're not just like lying on the...
It's here now, bro, with the hoop earrings and the afro. The female loneliness epidemic is here now. Non sequitur with the breaking news. Apparently one country attacked another country. I kind of suspected that was happening. Earlier today while I was at work, I heard people saw military planes flying over Iraqi airspace. And I was like, that's probably those guys. But yeah, we'll talk about that on another time. It's not really good to talk about these things initially. Let's wait for the rubble to clear. Let's wait for the footage to come back. Then we'll talk. Then we'll speculate about who done what and who shot John. Shout out to World War III, guys. It's gonna be lit.
On the internet than being completely different in real life. Because again, in real life, I've never really ran into women who are like super into having a provider or anything like that. Just going off the internet, like, bro, a lot of you are going to be disappointed because, mind you, a lot of you, like, again, like these men also have to be attracted to you. You know what I mean? I made a video on my backup account about it. Like, it's not looking good.
It's not looking good for y'all, ladies.
American society has really oriented itself towards solitude over the course.
First and foremost, I'm always so grateful when creators actually mention who wrote the story that they're referencing within their explanations and analysis. So, shout out to this creator for that. Secondly, if you have the opportunity, I really encourage you to listen to his entire explanation of the article. He breaks it down so clearly, but I want to pivot into why I think it's super important, just piggybacking off of his point and some things that I have done in my life to make sure the lonely epidemic does not impact me as greatly. About a year ago is when I started to take the loneliness epidemic seriously. I saw that around 60% of women say that they are lonely, and
60%. That's a lot of lonely women. That's a lot of unhappy women. 60% of women reported loneliness. And that's self-reporting. It could actually be higher. A lot of y'all lying.
Ago is when I started to take the loneliness epidemic seriously. I saw that around 60% of women say that they are lonely. And when I did some surveys among women, around 500, they said that they could not find good friends. And I think this article even sheds light as to why people don't.
So men aren't approaching women romantically, and women can't even make friends with other women socially. Ooh, that sounds bad. That sounds really bad.
Know how to be good friends, especially when you think of how isolated people have made themselves. So it doesn't allow others to be as tolerant to others, which is necessary to be friends with other people. So I ended up starting a social club, no interest fee. I wasn't trying to make money off of it, though now I'm trying to regulate it as a business initially and still now. The goal is not just to profit. I really want women to meet other women who are like minded. So they say to themselves, I see the facts, I see the data, and I will not fall into the statistic. Like, I need to get out there, I need to make friends, and I need to learn how to become a better friend. So within the organization, we not only have meetups, but we're also doing events.
If women don't know how to be good friends to other women, isn't that even an even bigger step to being a good partner to a man, to a husband? Like, if women can't stand women, if modern women can't stand each other, how do you think modern men feel about women? Like, modern women don't even know how to be friends with each other, apparently. I think all women have always hated other women, David. Low key, like there's always a simmering hate because, you know, women live in a state of competition with one another. But I think it's extremely pronounced in the modern world. We're male and female. We're becoming antisocial in very like in traditionally antisocial ways. Like, we don't gather like we used to. We don't mingle like we used to. You know, even earlier talking about things like romance and all that, like apparently even among the young, they're not having like the traditional boyfriend girlfriend thing like we would have had growing up as like the Gen Xers and whatnot, the children of the boomers. Their experience growing up pair bonding is radically different than ours.
with different therapists and people that can speak to how to become a better friend, how to heal from your traumas to become a better friend, how to become more compassionate. So, yes, I want you guys to read and read that article and listen to.
Yeah, you know what? Great comment. Great comment. I didn't even think about them, but you know, the lesbians, the masculine butch lesbians, is my favorite people in the world. They are so hilarious. Ian Dungeon says lesbians have the highest rates of DV, divorce, and lowest sex rates. Yeah, there's no sexless marriage like a lesbian marriage. Lesbians actually lesbianism created the term dead bed. And then listen, this is women being horrible to each other. Imagine how they are with men.
The creator. But if you're a woman, please, I'm gonna link it below. But check out Little Habits Social Club, especially if you're in the New Jersey NYC area, because I think it's really important, and I just want to promote a space.
The women in the most densely populated region of the country somehow can't link up and be friends.
If you're in the please, I'm gonna link it below, but check out Little Habits Social Club, especially if you're in the New Jersey NYC area, because I think it's really important, and I just want to promote a space for like-minded women to connect who don't want to fall into this trap of just being loneliness, just being lonely and sitting in loneliness. Thanks.
Sitting in loneliness, that sounds wild. Y'all girls be doing that? Y'all girls be doing that for real? Y'all be sitting in loneliness? That's crazy. Y'all should get a hobby or something. Do women really have hobbies?
No one is teaching you the lifestyle you have to have while married, and that's why people are so quick to want to get the ring and don't care about the lifestyle. That's why more people have weddings and less people have marriages. From my personal opinion, women are definitely desperate for relationships, romantic relationships, I should say. I know y'all don't want to hear this. There is a married woman out there that knows her husband's tendencies and behaviors. There are women that know that man is a pedophile, that man is a pervert, that man is doing something he shouldn't be doing, and they look past it because at least they can say they're with somebody. At least they can say they have a man. Why is it an insult to say to a woman, that's why you're single, that's why you don't have a man, that's why you're not married? But it's never the same insult for a man. When you insult a man, you say that's why you don't get no. Oh, okay. There's a video floating around in Houston of a decorator that decorated a hotel room for a man that was having his 12th year anniversary with his wife. As she's recording the room, the husband is asking her for schmecks for $200, and she's repeatedly telling him no. And he's like, you know, what people don't know don't hurt. And guess who came to his defense even after hearing that audio? The wife.
This video is kind of all over the place. I don't even know the point of what you're talking about.
And she
This is why y'all be so lonely. Y'all just be rambling.
posted a video where you can hear the conversation with the wife, and the wife is like, what was offensive? And it's like, girl, I don't have to draw it out. You're defending that because you know that's who he is, and at least you have a husband, so you're not gonna try to get him to change his nature. And to see that video of the young lady that paid Anwar $10,000 for dating tips, not even handing her a man, giving her a roster, she was on Hinge swiping for 100.
All right, never mind. You know what? This is exactly why y'all be lonely, because nobody know what you're even trying to talk about. Next.
I think we're heading towards a female friendship loneliness epidemic, and we need to work on fixing that ASAP. I have heard and I've seen a lot of girls choosing not to have friends anymore, just being by themselves. Not because they necessarily want to do that, but because they've put in so much work and so much effort to try to make friends, build connection, find good friends, and then just seem to be disappointed every single time because there are no good friends out there. Or they end up.
So there are no good men and there are no good friends out there. It sounds very lonely. Sounds like an apocalyptic landscape. No men, no friends, just zombies for miles and miles around. Are women living in zombie land? No men, no friends. That's crazy.
To make friends, build connection, find good friends, and then just seem to be disappointed every single time because there are no good friends out there. Or they end up getting just betrayed, hurt, or ghosted. A lot of women are just like, I'd rather be alone than have a terrible experience.
Really?
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
You see, Granny had wisdom. Granny wasn't really trying to insult her niece in that clip right there. I mean, she was, but she was giving her some wisdom at the same time, because that's how the old folks was. They'd say something really mean to you, but it would be like life-altering wisdom. The women back then understood something about the female nature, and I think that's what Granny was trying to speak to. There's a part of female nature that understands this reality.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
With a friend, which I completely understand. And this is on the same wavelength as the male loneliness epidemic. There's a lot of guys out there that are complaining that they're lonely, that they're by themselves, and women are tired because men are not putting in the effort to build a relationship. They kind of want to show up, do the bare minimum that's necessary.
Yeah, of course. It's always some guy's fault. Women are lonely and men's fault. It's women are lonely because men are horrible.
I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
It's always the man's fault.
And just, show up once and expect women to just do every single thing. And that's why women are just like, if I can do it for myself, why do I need anyone, right? And I think it's on the same level when it comes to friendships.
Hey, Daniel Kier, he says, a great quote. Because this movie is a personal favorite of mine, I kind of know the movie scene for scene. I mean, I don't know if you can drop a quote from that movie that I won't be able to cue in on, but Robert De Niro in Heat played one of the most intense characters of his career. One of my favorite characters is in like crime movies. Robert De Niro in Heat's one of my favorite like screen gangsters, and that was a great line between him and his little girlfriend he picked up in the movie. I think that was at the bar when he met her or whatever. Wherever they met, they were talking, and he says to her, I'm alone. I am not lonely. And it was almost a defiant kind of declaration. And he was kind of telling her something about how she fits in his life. Like, don't ever think that I need you in some kind of catastrophic way. And then at the end of the movie, when everything went haywire and he was on his way out of town, he said to her flat out, listen, you want to go? There's the door. Like, the world's falling apart right now. I didn't shot, how many cops he didn't hit, who knows? He was on his way to go clap up at least 2 other people. And he says to her, listen, you want to go right now. Nothing you feel is going to stop what I need to get done. And it was a powerful, powerful declaration. I am alone. I am not lonely. And that is kind of the core driver between the difference of male unhappiness and female loneliness.
Just like there are men out there that want the perks of being in a relationship with a woman, have everything taken care of, but are not willing to commit, not willing to build that connection, not willing to put in the effort and show up more than bare minimum. The exact same thing is happening with female friendships. And society has ran with it and quoted it underneath the sugar-coated
So wait, are women ghosting each other? Are women putting women in the friend zone? Friend zone? Like, how do you get friend zoned from the friend zone? That is a level of friend zone I don't think exists for guys. It's either you're cool or you're not. And I don't even mean cool like, leather jacket and sunglasses. I just mean like you're either acceptable or not, right? With guys, it's a literal pass fail test, right? Either, I'll stand next to you and we'll chat it up for a little while, or I can never be around you. Women will put women in the friend zone, friend zone. That is bizarre.
is happening with female friendships. And society has ran with it and quoted it underneath the sugar-coated guise of low-maintenance friendships. It is honestly so sad. It's friends that want to put in the bare minimum effort. They don't want to put in the work to build a connection, to build a friendship, to make it sustainable. They don't want to commit to it.
She makes the female friendship sound like buying a house. Like there's a whole day where you do nothing but sign paperwork. Oh my God. Why do you make female friendships sound so different? This is why guys are better friends, by the way. We don't put all this extra weight on one another. We carry our own shit. And then we still like you or don't like you. But we carry our own shit. Like women, like you have to carry her shit if you're gonna be her friend. Female friendships are a whole other deal.
Don't want to put in the work to build a connection, to build a friendship, to make it sustainable. They don't want to commit to it, but they do want to show up once every 6 months and then, get a big high five for showing up and texting once every 6 months and calling that a low maintenance friendship. It's the same energy as being in a situationship with a guy. It's the same energy as having a casual relationship, wanting the perks of the relationship without actually having to put in the work and the effort.
You know what's crazy about this video? She's not like an obviously unattractive woman, right? Like you probably have to get to know her to not like her because she's attractive enough. At a quick glance, she passes the quick glance test. And you would expect, sort of the women on the outskirts to be having these kinds of problems. But apparently women are just bad people. I don't know. I don't know what else to make of this. You don't see guys making a lot of videos about how guys are just terrible bros.
Of it. And it's the same thing with friendships. So women are tired. They'd rather be by themselves than deal with a barely there friend. They'd rather be by themselves than get breadcrumbed by a friend. And then on top of that, get gaslit by that friend and say that they're, high maintenance and they're asking for too much, when it's like, no, just asking for you to show up, just asking you to behave like a friend, just asking you to like.
You know what she sounds like? You almost sound like the red pill guys. Like just asking for the bare minimum of human decency and interaction from a woman is apparently a lot. Like you sound like red pill guys.
Not cancel last second, just asking you to be a reciprocal good friend. A genuine friendship is neither high maintenance, neither low maintenance. A genuine friendship is supposed to be equal. It's supposed to be reciprocal. It's supposed to be, I give effort, you give effort, we have the same communication frequency. Like everything is supposed to be at the same level of energy. But a lot of us sit here and a lot of us complain about how there are no friends out there, that we're not able to make friends. A lot of it is not really many people's fault. And another part of it is, it's you're not showing up. You're not putting in the work to build a relationship, to build trust with somebody. You just want to show up once every 6 months when it's convenient for you, when you are bored and lonely and you need something, you need a friend, you need someone to hang out with, you need a body to hang out with.
So women do like smash and dash friendships? She just described a smash and dash friendship. Like, I need you to go to the mall with me and pick out some shoes, and then I'm gonna ghost you after the event.
When you are bored and lonely and you need something, you need a friend, you need someone to hang out with, you need a body to...
Are women on the friendship carousel and the cock carousel at the same time? Bro, you know what? This is funny. This is why when I go on like panels with women and I know I'm already gonna be like the bad guy because I can't I can't cake it up with chicks, especially when there's no sex on the table at all. We're just on the internet speaking into microphones, looking at a screen. I can't cake it up with you like that. So like I know I'm gonna have difficulties, right? But I try to be charitable. I try to be charitable with women because apparently y'all are having a rough time and it's hard for you to admit that. And I don't want to go, I'm not that mean of a person that I want to stomp on the chick who's in the middle of a bad day. Because it seemed like a lot of y'all lives be in the middle of a bad day.
When it's convenient for you, when you are bored and lonely and you need something, you need a friend, you need someone to hang out with, you need a body to hang out with, and then you want to get a high five for that. You want to call it low maintenance friendships, and you want to make it seem like that is the right way to go and that's like the right trajectory. When you want the perks of having a friendship, you want the community of having a friendship, you want the connectedness of a friendship, but you don't want to put the works in for it. And it's the exact same energy as an F-boy who wants the perks in relationship and to use a woman for everything that she has until she has nothing left to give. And then just be like, oh, but it wasn't that serious. It wasn't that serious. Like, come on, you guys. Do better.
Ian with the $5 super chat, he says, female relations sound exhausting. Men don't expect shit from each other and have a good time. We will be bros without even knowing each other's names. Big fact, big fact. And I suspect that even like the men in this little space and just within the context of like the Hood Conservative YouTube channel, guys in this space can likely just hang out with each other. And it doesn't have to be this heavy thing like you need to remember my mother's birthday and my wedding anniversary and all that. You need to know my favorite color. Male friendships just do not have the same patterns and ups and downs that female friendships have. This is why male friendships can last so long. Because again, like I said earlier, we carry our own shit, bro. We, as men, it's hard to be a friend with a guy who can't carry his own shit. You know what I mean?
Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break.
So I'm from Atlanta, and everyone knows a lot of people have been moving to Atlanta for a long time, like since the 90s, but especially before and during COVID. And one of the main things that I hear a lot of people complain about Atlanta is that everyone is fake. And a lot of the black women here have trouble making...
Let me read this super chat before we move on. Because I know you're talking about that last white girl. She wasn't bad looking. Angry Snowman with the $5 super chat. He says, She looks too much like my baby mama. I already have issues with that one. Man, listen, Angry Snowman just had a flashback.
When I die, I'ma go to Snow Bunny Heaven. Snow Bunny Heaven.
Shout out to Angry Snowman with the 5-ball, man. Don't have a flashback. It's not Vietnam. Oh, what just happened here? Oh, stop. No. Oh. I lost the video. No. Oh, there she is.
So I'm from Atlanta, and everyone knows a lot of people have been moving to Atlanta for a long time, like since the 90s, but especially before and during COVID. And one of the main things that I hear a lot of people complain about Atlanta is that everyone is fake. And a lot of the black women here have trouble making friends because it just feels like there's a lack of authenticity. I can totally understand why people who move here from other places can kind of be thrown off by the reality of living in Atlanta and interacting with people from Atlanta when you think that, oh, Atlanta's like this black mecca, which is true. You know, there are a lot of black people in Atlanta, a lot of successful black people in Atlanta. But with that, I feel like the main issue is that a lot of people lack authenticity. And I think this is a problem across the board, regardless of which major city you're in. But in Atlanta, it's a lot more concentrated because the city of Atlanta is so small. And once you factor in different communities and different spaces within Atlanta, like, I don't know, the black art space, black professional spaces, you run into a lot of the same core people over and over and over again. I say it all the time, living in Atlanta is kind of like scrolling through Instagram in real life. It's disorienting at times. I say all this to say, even though I'm from here, I was raised here, I started struggling with making real friends because it felt like everyone was trying to...
All right, you know, it sounds crazy when you listen to her because she's talking about the Black Mecca. Atlanta took, I think New York City or maybe even Chicago might have had titles as like the Black Mecca, but Atlanta kind of rose up over the years. And she's basically saying that black people are fake. Yeah, that's kind of rough.
Different spaces within Atlanta, like, I don't know, the black art space, black professional spaces, you run into a lot of the same core people over and over and over again. I say it all the time, living in Atlanta is kind of like scrolling through Instagram in real life. It's disorienting at times. I say all this to say, even though I'm from here, I was raised here, I started struggling with making...
Instagram in real life sounds traumatic. This is why I'm not on Instagram.
Real friends because it felt like everyone was trying to social climb. I got sick of networking. I mean, I'm at this place in my life where when I'm outside of work, I really like to limit how much I talk and think about work. When I would join different like social clubs and different spaces that were built to help you make adult friendships, it still somehow functioned around followers. It still functioned around what you do for work, what your businesses are. And I feel like I need to reiterate that I'm not against black-owned businesses. I love sisters getting their money, but none of those things really filled the hole that I had from not having a real community. And so I founded my own community. And since it started in January, I have to keep reiterating that it's like, okay, we're for all black women in Atlanta. We have no follower requirement. We have no job requirement. This is not a networking event. And I feel like because of those distinctions, we've brought in women who are like really kind, really sweet, really down to earth. I think it's definitely a space where black women who aren't charismatic feel comfortable. You know,
I kind of think what she's saying here is that, you know, the modern woman, especially like she's talking about black women, and there are a lot of professional black people in Atlanta, like, you know, the corporate types, entrepreneurs and whatnot, executives and all. Again, Atlanta is a black mecca for a lot of different things. And it sounds like she's saying that it's difficult for the women in the professional world to maintain girl bonds with one another. The kinds of bonds that women would have had traditionally, just being, you know, wives or whatever. You know, you live next door, you live in the same neighborhood, your husbands work at the same place or whatever, your kids go to the same schools, you went to the same schools growing up, like that kind of thing, it seems to be fading away. And so it's just like all the women are kind of like on the male track where I'm focused on winning and being successful. And that means I'm less focused on the intricacies of a friendship with a chick.
On TikTok and I post my thoughts, but I am not good with interacting with people in real life. I'm not very outgoing. Yeah, it's really refreshing to be a part of a group where I can show up as myself and I get the grace to show up differently sometimes. As a very anxious Black woman who is on the spectrum, it's really what I needed. I just want to put it out there for the Black women in Atlanta because I see y'all, I hear y'all complaining about not having friends, being lonely, wanting to actually go do things, but not really having anyone to go do it with. I really implore you to check us out. We open admissions on November 1st.
You want to do things, but you don't have someone to go do it with. That sounds awful, sweetie. You know what? You know what you need?
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
A man would go to those places with you and do those things with you. You don't even have to have sex with him every time afterwards. He would just go eventually.
Are we in the middle of a female loneliness epidemic when it comes to female friendship? I saw a creator this morning talking about this. I didn't save the video, so if you know what I'm talking.
And real quick, before we move on, let me not forget. Shout out to the Midwest Request with the $2 super chat. He says that shit sounds like dating purgatory. Dating itself sounds like purgatory, honestly, if we're being honest. This is why I'm low key, like, I got a tiny pang of jealousy for the guys that are happily married, stable, forward thinking relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are on a great track that not a lot of people are locked into, because outside of that is dating, and dating is purgatory. And then Harambe with the $1.99 super chat says, bougie broke hoes drinking wine at lunch. That sounds like Atlanta. That's why they can't be friends with each other. They all on the fake corporate track.
Are we in the middle of a female loneliness epidemic when it comes to female friendship? I saw a creator this morning talking about this. I didn't save the video, so if you know what I'm talking about, feel free to tag her or send me her so I can tag her on this. But essentially, she was saying that a lot of women are waking up to the idea that their friends aren't actually good friends, and that we also have expectations of friendships where things should be reciprocal. There's another creator, she does skits. She's like a one-woman show, and she'll do skits often between like a friend who is single and wants to party still versus the friend who's married and has kids. And if you look at the comment section, it's like 50-50 split between women who are like, I have kids, what do you want me to do? Drop everything. You kind of need to like work with me because my priorities are higher than yours. And then people who are single that are like, well, what about me as a human being? Like, for both human beings, don't we need to have some reciprocity?
That's an interesting reality split too. And this is like that thing about like married couples or paired off people in relationships versus people in a single life. Like, if you are in a stable relationship with a woman, it's actually bad for your relationship for her to have a bunch of single partying friends or whatever, because the friends are going to want her to be a part of their, single missions or whatever. And that is just not healthy for your stable relationship. And so that creates a split between the women. And now women can't be friends.
Well, what about me as a human being? Like, for both human beings, don't we need to have some reciprocity? And sometimes the party friend expecting the married friend to do things that aren't acceptable for that person to do with the lifestyle they've chosen. I have talked pretty recently about the concept, for me, that I used to believe that women were inherently or innately or naturally emotionally understanding. They have a high EQ. They're community oriented. You know, the girl's girl who's got your back. Your girls will be there when guys are not. And that has never been the case for me. Like, I unlocked a core memory when I was younger because I met a friend. I'm like reconnecting with a friend and we were talking about how we met. We met like when we were 8 years old. She only stayed at that school for 1 year. But the entire time that I was at that school, I was bullied. I was never physically beaten, but like I had the run-of-the-mill bully girl, you know, with like the unibrow. Legitimately, her name was April, who would steal my homework. One time my mom had to come up to the school because she helped me do my homework, and the teacher was like berating me because I didn't do my homework and this girl had stolen it. So there was a search conducted. My homework was found. Apology was not given to me. But that girl would day in and day out try to like steal my shit or talk shit. There was a boy, his name is Grant, and he would just come up to me and just like be verbally abusive. My dad had to come up like fucking some kind of action figure in a movie. He came during I went to a private school, so he came during chapel and asked the teacher if he could pull that kid to the back empty rows, and he put that kid in one row and he sat behind the kid and he said, "If you don't keep your hands and your mouth off my daughter, you're not gonna like what happens next." Then my dad didn't know what was gonna happen next, but then that boy left me alone. And then I had a girl group that I was a part of, and they all hated me. They hated me, and I can't tell you for the life of me why they hated me so much, other than like my mom was part of the PTA. She was part of Girl Scouts. Like, she ran the Girl Scouts. She gave these girls opportunities to participate. So I had a cool mom, I guess. And at the time, it wasn't seen as cool. It was seen as overbearing. So I thought like it was embarrassing for me to have a mom who was so involved. And I think people hated me for my mom being so involved. I was also really smart and a know-it-all. I didn't make people feel small in the process, but I think it just made me annoying in general. But I remember I was in the school from kindergarten to 6th grade in the same group of girls. It was like 4 or 5 girls who had gotten together, and they were kind of catty with each other in general. Like, they would talk shit on each other, but they particularly hated me, but they would invite.
Kind of like her whole life was lonely. Like, you just unlikable, right, bro? Like, maybe it's you. I don't know what to tell you, man. If your whole life, you know, girls always hating on you, maybe it's you, bro. I don't know what I'm supposed to think about this.
Invite me to stuff, and they would include me on phone calls. You know, we'd have like 3-way phone calls, and they would do so with the specific goal in mind that afterwards they would talk shit about me. How did I find out? Well, my older sister was at my cousin's house, and they were all friends with my cousin. My cousin ended up being a ling reader of them. She hopped on way late though. She didn't come till 5th grade. Anyway, my sister is at my cousin's house, and she's hearing them talk all kinds of shit about me. And my sister called me. She says, "You do not pick up those girls' phone calls anymore. Do not hang out with them. They are not your friends." And I was like fighting with my sister because I was like, no, they are my friends. They invite me to stuff, and we go to places. Like, we would go to theme parks together, and we would go to parks together. We go to the movies together. And she was like, "They are not your friends. You need new friends. Those girls hate your guts." And she told me what they said, and I was in tears because I also didn't have a good relationship with my sister. So to have her be the messenger was embarrassing. But also now to have to face the fact that these people who pretended to like me were off. That pattern of girls being my friends to
American Man says she was the bougie legal in a friend group full of illegals. There's a lot going on here. There's definitely a lot happening here.
secretly talk shit behind my back played itself out until probably the last year when I got rid of the last of them.
But notice, right?
Probably the fact that these people
She
not
has a
friends,
wedding
new
ring.
friends. Those girls hate.
She's better now because she has a wedding ring. She don't need no friends. She's not even bothered by the lack of friends back in the day because she's married now. She don't need girlfriends.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
Hate your guts. And she told me what they said, and I was in tears because I also didn't have a good relationship with my sister. So to have her be the messenger was embarrassing.
That's a wedding ring right there, bro.
But also now to have to face the fact that these people who pretended to like me were off. That pattern of girls being my friends to secretly talk shit behind my back played itself out until probably the last year when I got rid of the last of them. And for some reason, I continued to be blinded by the fact, because I would tell myself, women are different than men. Women are good friends. Women at this age want community. We have to be there for each other, especially when men let us down. We have to encourage each other through the single times. And all I was met with time after time after time were haters and pick me.
Because men are better friends than women? Because men are better people than women?
I'm there for each other, especially when women are good friends. Women at this age want community. We have to be there for each other, especially when men let us down. We have to encourage each other through the single times. And all I was met with time after time after time were haters and pick me and people that wanted to get together, because I just live my life. I live my life and I'm encouraging to people. And
Albert says her husband is tired of hearing these stories. He told her to go get a TikTok channel.
They fucking hate that. They fucking hate that. How dare I be so fucking happy after, I get with somebody who, used me for a green card. How dare I be happy?
Look. How dare I be happy? She got a husband. She don't need no friends. I'm trying to tell you.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
To people, and they fucking hate that. They fucking hate that. How dare I be so fucking happy after, I get with somebody who, used me for a green card. How dare I be happy after I leave the guy who used me for a green card? How dare I do plastic surgery so that I can feel more confident about myself? How dare I learn how to do my makeup so that when I go out, I also, feel good about myself? And does it bring me attention? But that's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to. So I have lost so many female friends, and it's like the toxicity I experienced being in relationships with men, and the pattern I was falling into and believing in that people that were performing for me liked me. Same shit happened with women. So this concept of a female loneliness epidemic, again, who's going to be lonely in that? Probably the hating ass pick me fucking bitches who refuse to do any work to have their own self-worth and hate on others. That's their fucking identity. And even the ones that are empowered and have a sense of self-worth are so wounded from living under a patriarchy that while they have...
Yeah, I see why you ain't got no friends. You sound like a chick who ain't got no friends now.
Directed their frustrations at men and have moved accordingly, they haven't done the work to examine their internalized misogyny, because they're still punching down at women. So I had to deconstruct the way that I romanticized friendships, because this isn't new. I'm 41. This epidemic didn't start just now. And I doubt that I'm alone in this, because I've seen a couple of videos of women talking about...
Say she eats alone at work. So what? She takes a little lunchbox out the fridge, walks all the way through the giant cafeteria full of all the Spanish people sitting together, eating and talking and playing music and dancing bachata, walk right past all of them, go sit in her car in the parking lot, and she eats her lunch by herself. That's what she does. I believe it too. I believe it.
How they realize they have shitty friends, or they're, instead of talking about it, they're advising people how to recognize shitty girlfriends. And I don't think that it's not normal. I don't think that I am the exception to the rule. I've said, good sex with men is the exception, not the rule. Good relationships with cishet men is the exception, not the rule. I would say at 41, solid friendships with evolved women who have examined patriarchy, who have unpacked their own internalized misogyny, and who have sought inner self-healing and self-awareness and know what they want to give and receive out of friendships, is the exception, not the rule.
You see this graphic on the screen here? Liberal women most likely to feel lonely often. Liberal women least likely to be completely satisfied with life. The pattern persists, man. It's not the men.
It's kind of spicy, and it's going to cause some of you to feel a lot of things. I am desperately calling on some of you to be better friends. Stop flaking. Stop committing to something and then not showing up.
They're 100% correct. For some reason, we hear all the time about the male loneliness epidemic, but there is actually a national epidemic that is affecting everybody. And today I'm going to give you my set of tools and measurements for friendships, where if we all started using this, we might actually start building better communities.
You know, I always ponder like how women will use the government to like solve their problems with men. You know, like child support, DV, stuff like that. You know, the Violence Against Women Act. Like women will go directly to government to have those problems remedied. How will women use the government to fix their relationships with each other, though? This seems like a no way out kind of trap.
And we'll get into what that is, but using this measure of friendship, I've noticed in the last couple of years that people's social skills and quality of friendships have been rapidly declining. Because every year or two now, since roughly 2019, and yes, I think there could be some correlation, I've been having to change the goalpost on this measurement kit to accommodate for the declining rate. And scientists and researchers have noticed it too. The world as a whole has been declining socially, and we've been losing this ability to connect with each other and form quality relationships. We could sit and do a multiple part series, and scientists have been studying why this is happening. Right, society's declining ability to form close friendships, to create compromises, to see eye to eye, declining empathy, worsening communication.
We got a gulag prediction here. 9:04 p.m., 6/12/2025. American man says in 5 years they will be blaming men for giving them rights. Remember, I said it here first. Bookmark this, everybody. Bookmark this.
Skills. And of course, we could tie it all back into the rise of capitalism, creating this very individualistic society in which you're just worried about yourself. Today, we're just focusing on how over the last few years, there has been a noticeable decline in quality of friendships and people's energy and effort put into maintaining friends. Because whilst I have many friends across the country and many creator friends I've made that I talk to every single day, I officially don't have any friends in the state of Minnesota that pass any of my friendship tests anymore. Like, yes, I have casual friends that I see once or twice a year in Minnesota, but I don't have any close friends anymore that pass these tests. And what are they, you're wondering? Well, when I was younger, because I'm very obviously neurodivergent, I very much so struggled with friendships and boundaries, so I had to create a set of rules to
Neurodivergent. Are modern women just kind of crazy in a way that women traditionally weren't? Like women were, you know, generally speaking, men perceive women as crazy. But are modern women like exceptionally crazy?
Wondering? Well, when I was younger, because I'm very obviously neurodivergent, I very much so struggled with friendships and boundaries, so I had to create a set of rules to understand when someone was and wanted to be my friend and when someone didn't want to be my friend. I'm now very much aware that I was the kid that your parent made you invite to their birthday party. And in middle school, I became very aware.
Bruh. You were the kid that people made, your parent made you invite them to the party? That sounds like heavy knowledge. Kids shouldn't know that about things.
With the fact that people were putting backpacks on seats and just pretending that they were saving them for someone later. But I never understood why people didn't just say they didn't want to hang out with you. They would always make up excuses and pretend they were busy. So I developed this set of friendship rules, which eventually changed as I aged, right, and became a little bit more dynamic. As an adult, they've just become a good reference point to look at and realize if friends are actually treating me like friends. Just like this previous creator, I've noticed in the last few years that I keep having to update them.
because there's a definite decline of the way people have been treating each other. But the original set of rules was a very straightforward 2-strike rule. If I ask you to hang out 2 times and both times you say you're busy and can't, and you make no effort to reschedule or plan something else, then they simply just didn't want to be my friend, and that's fine. They just didn't want to hurt my feelings and tell me that.
Girls ghost each other just as much as guys ghost girls, man. Girls just be getting ghosted. Terrible.
But I've noticed in the last couple of years, I have to be more flexible in this. It became a 3-strike rule, and sometimes even a 4-strike rule, because then my friends would come back later, like weeks or months later, and be like, hey, do you want to go do this? And then I'll be confused because I would ask them multiple times to go do stuff, and they shut it down as if we're not friends anymore. But all right, so they get a little bit more leeway, because I guess that's just how that friendship is. More recently, like this creator mentioned, they've been doing this thing that I cannot wrap my head around, and I have decided I don't want to be friends with those kinds of people anymore. Repeatedly, over and over again, making plans or almost making plans, like we're right to the point where the plans are about to be made, and then they completely come up with an excuse or entirely bail. And that I don't like, and I don't think that's a good friend who's being considerate of your time and your effort. Because yes, you get that once or twice for like emergencies here and there, obviously. But when you do that 2 or 3 times in a row, I just think that you hate me now. And that this is somehow like an adult version of the things that like kids, the pranks kids would pull on me back when I was younger for some reason.
She
But I
cried.
don't know why. No, it's not that,
cried.
because an adult who's your friend wouldn't.
Why did she cry? This is a TikTok video. Why did you just start
When I was
crying?
younger, for kids, the pranks kids would pull on me back when I was younger for some reason, but I don't know why. No.
Girls just be going through stuff, man. I tell you. And then as the guy, you got to try to like date her. And she just busts out crying one day in the middle of a conversation.
Kids, the pranks kids would pull on me back when I was younger for some reason, but I don't know why. No, it's not that, because an adult who's your friend wouldn't do that. But why would you tell me that like you're super excited and you want to do this thing and then bail on it so many times in a row? That's one thing I haven't figured out yet, and I'm glad that it's not just me, because I thought maybe it was just a neurodivergent thing. The thing is, I entirely understand that it has to be something on their end then, but they're also not at all thinking about me and my end, so then I'm the only one here thinking about the other person. So we all need to do a better job of, probably myself included with some friendships, thinking about the other person and being the initiator. If someone's not initiating stuff, then that person's not a good friend, and that might be you.
Yeah, lasers. They're all nuts, man. That's the only way guys can properly rationalize the female mind. You're all just crazy. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me as a guy is women are just crazy. There's no other way to rationalize that.
I'm sure this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I feel like it needs to be talked about. I saw this post like a couple days ago about how a lot of times very beautiful women are very lonely, and I just wanted to give my perspective on that. Growing up, I was bullied endlessly. Now, I don't think I have always been pretty. Maybe I was bullied because I was weird. I have no idea. But probably like from 1st grade to 12th grade, like I was bullied nonstop. And I didn't have a mom who raised me to think, oh, they're just jealous of you. Like, I genuinely was like, I don't know why people don't like me. I don't know why it's so hard for me to make friends. After I got my braces off and like really started to find my style and figure out how to do my hair and whatnot, like people hated me for no reason other than the fact that I was pretty. I think a lot of people assume, and I'm only saying this because I've been told it, a lot of people assume that just because you're conventionally attractive, that you don't go through hardships and that your life can't possibly be that hard. But honestly, a lot of pretty women are, for one, more susceptible to abuse and SA. Also, more susceptible to loneliness because people assume, oh, you might.
I don't want to do this, but I have to. Because now my brain can't move on without pondering this odd query. Who is more susceptible to SA? Who's more likely to meet an essay? Pretty women or unattractive women? I know. That sounds like a weird question, right? That sounds like one of those, who would win in a fight, Deadpool or Wolverine, right? This sounds like a weird question, but I'm pondering the question. Who gets attracted? Who meets essays more? Pretty women or ugly women? Because I don't know if there's generally like a rule. Because I honestly, for the type of people who are into that kind of thing, I don't think it's about raw physical attraction. It's just about like, I got you. Ah, that is such a weird question, right? But because she said it. She said it. She's the one who said, well, it's because you're attractive. I'm like, well, all right, well, is that statistically true? Are there numbers on that?
Be that hard. But honestly, a lot of pretty women are, for one, more susceptible to abuse and SA. Also,
Because, like, all right, let me give you a perfect example. Let me give you a great example of why being quote unquote pretty isn't necessarily a guarantee of securing all of the sexual attention, right? Everybody knows who Arnold Schwarzenegger is. Most people don't know that Arnold Schwarzenegger has a child with his maid. Arnold Schwarzenegger was married to a woman named Maria Shriver. Now, Maria Shriver is not like some Sports Illustrated model, right? But she's pretty. He had a kid with his maid, though. Have you seen Arnold Schwarzenegger's maid? There was something about that fugly Mexican chick that Arnold was just like, I have to have it. And he had to do it. He just couldn't help himself. And so I'm just wondering, like, I don't know if it's all about physical beauty. Sometimes, guys, we just get weird ideas in our head, man.
honestly, a lot of pretty women are, for one, more susceptible to abuse and SA. Also, more susceptible to loneliness because people assume, oh, you must have so many friends. You must have.
So you're more susceptible to abuse and loneliness, right? Like, I can't stop. I have to fight them off every minute of my life, and I'm so lonely. Oh, this sounds like poor little rich girl shit.
Also more susceptible to loneliness because people assume, oh, you must have so many friends. You must have so many people trying to talk to you. Like, I was never asked to the dance growing up. Um, I was never like first choice for anything. Again, it may have been because I was weird. I don't know why people didn't like me, but I really struggled to have friends. And typically, I am somebody who gives my all in a friendship. Like, I'm not somebody that's super selfish. I will do anything for the people that I love. And I know that some people are going to be like, wow, oh my gosh, you have it so hard. Like, cry me a river. But a lot of people don't understand that more average looking people have all the friends. They get asked to dances because people aren't intimidated. Like, they get to have the experiences that I didn't get to have growing up because people made so many assumptions about me and never actually took the chance to get to know me. Also struggled a lot with mental health.
Imagine thinking I would have more friends if I was less pretty. I'll tell you, trying to perceive the mind of women is just a wild ride. This is why I said it's just a lot easier for men to just be like, you know what, y'all just be crazy, and that's cute. I love that for you, but y'all are kind of crazy.
So I was a little bit standoffish, but I tried to fit in. I did. I was really shy and I was struggling at home. I didn't come from a home with love. I was abused at home and then I would go to school and I would be bullied. So I was not a super happy kid. I was not a super happy teenager. And people took my quietness or my like social anxiety for, oh, she's stuck up, she thinks she's better than everyone else. One of the other things that the video mentioned was like, guys will not come up to pretty women because they assume, oh, everybody's coming up to her. And that's honestly so true. Like, people will stare at me, but very, very few people will actually come up to me. Unless I'm at the gas station and it's like this old man or something. I just really wish people took the time and listened to those who have had different experiences, because I think,
Oh yeah, people will come up to me, but people will stare at me, but they won't talk to me. Oh, boo-hoo, I'm so lonely. You know, I said earlier at the beginning of the show, there are channels that I kind of I follow, and all they talk about is just women can't be women aren't being approached, women can't get men. Let me take you to one of my favorite channels.
Modern women feel unlovable and alone. Validation is a powerful word, isn't it?
Shout out to Replicant Fish. He pulls a lot of this great content. Like I said, there are channels that just specifically focus on sourcing the kinds of videos that reinforce the point. And it's daily, different women, different videos every day. There's definitely an epidemic.
Think of how many women feel like they're not women due to a lack of validation. You know, a lot of women are shamed for not having a man, shamed for not being married at a certain age.
A lot of women are shamed for not having a man? Shamed for not being married at a certain age? Who's doing that? Who would say, why would women do that?
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
Shamed for being too independent, working too hard, and not having space in her life to give room to a man, basically. Have space to let a man into her life. Whether it be trauma from her ex-boyfriends, trauma from her parents, trauma from her friends as well. Yeah, let's not forget about the backstabby girly pops. Yeah, either way, there are many reasons now why a lot of women don't have a man, they can't find and keep one, and in many cases, they don't want one. However, on a whole, a lot of women feel like they're unlovable nowadays. And in feeling unlovable, a lot of them feel alone, like spinsters of the past. And
so the alleged male loneliness epidemic in reality is actually women feeling alone and unlovable, because there are less and less men to chase women, as it were. The very notion of men chasing women seems to be dying down. Like, men are just not romantically, aggressively pursuing women like they did at one point. And that gets called the incel revolution and the beta male revolution and all that. And maybe some of those things are true to a degree. But the other side of that coin is the female loneliness epidemic.
however, on a whole, a lot of women feel like they're unlovable nowadays. And in feeling unlovable, a lot of them feel alone, like spinsters of the past. And sadly, the only thread they have to weave are lies.
There is a collective trauma happening right now amongst a generation of single women.
Okay.
And believe you me, the impacts of this are bigger than we could comprehend. So I'm talking about the female experience here. I'm aware that on the other side with men, there's stuff going on too. Right now, for very complex reasons, women feel incredibly unlovable, used, violated, and mistrusting. And believe you me, it is not good for any of us when this is happening collectively. Not first, it takes an incredibly strong and stoic man to be able to hold space for that woman.
Okay.
And shout out to Big Time with the $5 super chat. I kind of missed this one. We're kind of out of sync now. He says, she's lying. I'm aware of all my shortcomings and weaknesses. from being turned down from so many women. Shout out to Big Time with the Fly Ball. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Hit that like button, guys. We are still going. We're not done yet. I got a little bit more to show you guys.
I need that money.
So what you're saying is, so many women nowadays are strong, independent women. They don't need a man for survival, no. However, because they've become so strong and tough and chewy, it takes a man of incredible power and stoicism.
Strong and stoic man.
Indeed. Focus and energy to be a competent man for that woman.
Bruh.
That's lovely, that's cute. However, the requirements of a woman nowadays, of many women, are quite high. And even if a man can match up and meet to those high requirements...
Are women's requirements from men leading to female loneliness? Like, women have a hard time being friends with each other, and men don't even want to meet your bar of romantic expectation. And where does that leave you?
This does not mean it's good for the man. This does not mean a man struggling and trying to be this masterful dude for the modern woman or any individual woman, that it's going to be beneficial for him. You see, we get what she's saying, that, you know, women are going through so much nowadays. They've been offered and given so much. The world is very open to them now. And because of that, they have higher...
And you know what's crazy about the modern age with women? The more women have, the more unhappy women become. You know, women's levels of unhappiness are at historic lows. I mean, highs, right? Women's levels of unhappiness are at historic highs right now. They are more miserable than they've ever been before. Like, you can feel it in the air. Hoes are madder than they've ever been. Shout out to Lasers with the $2 super chat.
Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad.
This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
My life was threatened. Thank you.
Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad.
demands of men. The common man.
Stoic man.
Yeah? But what far too many men realize is, even if they can match up to that, even if they can be that strong, stoic dude a lot of women claim to want, it's not in a sense of respect, is it?
Respects me, woman.
It's not in a can do to ensure the cause. I say partially, the culture of the world.
Men are users. Men are out to get you. And that is not a good thing. Like, I talk all the time about how damaging the digital ages and apps are on sex and relationships, but the impact of it is just so much bigger than we could possibly comprehend.
And that's a big point as well, isn't it? That's a big point. How men are seen by women.
Men are bad. Users out to hit you.
And how women on the internet are teaching, educating, misleading other women. Yeah, as to the nature of men. Men say pick better. But from a lot of men's observations, women aren't doing that. And in fact, when they find better, they just ruin the better man. So again, you could be that man. It doesn't mean it's going to do any good for you. You're just going to be fodder, basically.
According to one of my guy friends, and I want to know if this is true, and I don't know if all men believe this or the men that I want to date believe this or who believes in this, but according to one of my guy friends, he said the man that you want to date, which is a traditional man, is not going to be interested in you because you are so career driven.
Indeed.
The modern woman isn't desirable from a traditional standpoint. Because the things that you want to do as a modern woman are not traditional. And this is a tough pill for women to swallow. Like, the more successful you become as a woman, the less men that will qualify in your eyes, right? But the reverse, the other side of that coin is those men who do qualify, they're not looking for you as a modern, successful, traditional woman. And so you start to kind of shoot yourself in the foot the higher you climb the ladder as a woman. It really does become a trap. And like I said, there are a bunch of channels who are just dedicated to this kind of thing. This is one of my other channels. This is one of my favorite channels for this particular sort of content, Cosmic Verse. And this is all they do.
Do you know what's offensive? Dating apps in your 30s.
So women told men that we don't want to be approached, basically. Like, we're like, don't approach us this way, don't approach us that way, like, don't approach us.
As a newly single girly in her 30s, I have some dating concerns.
Guys, if you're trying to figure out if a man likes you, I need you to understand something. Men.
A lot of women are setting themselves up for failure. They expect everything with zero effort.
If 80% of women really do only want 20% of men, then why not fight to become one of the 20%?
When you
No, I'm not doing all that for you. I'm not fighting anything for you. I'm not fighting traffic. I'm not fighting a fever. I'm not fighting hunger. I'm not fighting boredom. I'm not fighting anything. Just for you? No. Nah.
Meet the right man, just existing is enough for them.
Okay, you've heard it a million times. Guys love the chase. But have you ever wondered?
This is something women want to be true, even though it's not. Men do not love chasing. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
These women would prefer me to sit up here and say, you're the prize, baby girl. You bring everything to the table. Just you being you, he's supposed to love you. And just because you are a woman, that's enough. And that is not true.
You got to stop asking everybody else where the real men be at and start asking yourself, why am I not attracting them? When you ask yourself that question, you start to self-reflect and you start to look within and you realize it's not that I'm not attracting good men. It's that I'm not entertaining good men.
There is tons and tons of content with women speaking to their own experience, describing what is effectively the female loneliness epidemic.
I don't know how to identify the good men.
So women told men that we don't want to be approached, basically. Like, we're like, don't approach us this way, don't approach us that way, like, don't approach us, yada, yada, yada. So the good men who actually value our opinions and want us to be safe and comfortable, they did what we asked. They stopped approaching us. But guess what we're left with now? We're left with the whole subsect of dudes approaching us that were the whole reason for us saying we don't want to be approached in the first place. So all the good men have decided, cool, you don't want us to approach you, we won't approach you. We won't approach you in the gym, we won't approach you in the grocery stores, we're not going to approach you. Now it's the knuckleheads that we don't want to deal with who are like, oh, bet, let me shoot my shot.
And that's the other side of the female loneliness epidemic. Well, that's one other layer to it, is as much as you claim you're lonely, there are men who are approaching you constantly, right? But you're like, ew, no. And so now it's almost like an femcel, right? The female involuntary celibacy, where you're almost sidelined because none of the guys you want actually want you in the game.
What we were hoping for is definitely not what we got. It's not what we got. Because now it's a bunch of inappropriate men approaching us in the worst ways. Meanwhile, the good men who actually respect our opinions and our wishes have stopped approaching us all together.
The thing is, even if you were to ask women how they would want to be approached, most wouldn't even know. The truth is, the standards and expectations have become so contradictory that even they're confused. One minute they want confidence, the next they call it arrogance.
Man and worship you. You can literally control how this man is treating you or how any man is treating you. You can make him change to give you princess treatment, and it's really this simple. Sometimes as women, we accidentally reverse the roles. Maybe because somebody told us that we weren't a princess in the past. Maybe it was your father. Maybe you had a relationship where you weren't treated as the prize. But most of you ladies are in your masculine energy and putting him in his feminine energy without even knowing it.
Nobody's helping me.
Okay, I'm not gonna help you.
Nobody's helping me. All these men for what?
Nobody's helping me. No, oh my God, really? Nobody's helping me. All these men for what? Nah, Daniel, I never heard of Carmen JC. Who is she? I don't know who that is. I'm gonna look into her now.
What do you want us to do?
You guys just said this.
Why didn't you call me? I would have helped you. We're all creeps until they need something. We don't need men. I choose the bear until it benefits them. Give her a ticket. You can't park there. This.
Like I said, there are tons of channels that just show, you know, they highlight women and their modern, lonely female struggle. Because there are a bunch of women who they just put out this kind of content.
What is that supposed to mean? What do you mean you're over me? Like you've moved on? That's not how this works. That's not how this works, okay? I was supposed to go my whole life knowing in the back of my mind that you still like me, okay? I was supposed to think that every time I saw you, your heart did a little pitter patter, okay? Now you've moved on? What does that mean? That's not possible. I don't understand, okay? Because you're supposed to still like me, because now that you don't like me, I feel like I need to like you, okay? You liked me, I didn't like you. Now you don't like me, now I feel like I need to like you. Now I feel like, wait, do I like him? No, that's not how we play this game, okay? You can't just move on. You're supposed to be stuck on me for the rest of your life.
The pill.
And the loneliness continues. The female loneliness epidemic is way bigger than the male loneliness epidemic. It just doesn't get the coverage that the incels get. Because remember, there are, just head for head, there are way more women than there are men. Not way more, but there are more women than there are men. And so the numbers are a lot bigger for women when it comes to like mental instability, being diagnosed and treated for mental instabilities. And that translates into like social interactions. Women apparently can't even maintain friendships like they used to. And the men obviously aren't really pairing up and wifing them up like they used to. So the women are kind of having a hard time. Anyway, guys, it's been fun. We're going to wrap this one up. We're going to put this show in the bag. Truism is starting up his after party just about now. Truism, drop your link in the chat one more time before we get out of here. Guys, if you are still listening, the show must go on, but it's going to go on at Truism's channel. Hit that link in the chat, everybody. We are going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for coming through tonight. Hit that like button on your way out. Shout out to all the lonely women out there. I don't know what to do for y'all, but shout out to y'all anyway. Shout out to all the lonelies out there, man. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. We going to make it, all right? Lonely women, we going to make it, okay?
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
I'm done. I'm done with life. And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help Black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.